What's up guys, welcome back to Out of the Loop. So today we're going to be continuing with the fundamental series. So we're going over saturation, overdrive and clipping as they're kind of tied in together. They do similar things. If you haven't watched the other videos, I'll link them somewhere above. They're in a playlist. I cover EQ and compression in those videos. If you guys are new to production or you just want to hone in on your skills, they're great videos to start with. So let's dive into Ableton. Alright guys, so here we are in Ableton, and what I've set up is just a simple sine wave going through the Ableton saturator. This saturator that I've got here is just grouped together, and then I've got a macro controlling, so when I push the drive, the output comes down. So this is a great way to just like not add volume, you're adding the drive effect, or you're pushing the sound into the saturator without adding too much volume. So that's what I've set up here. And I've got this thing from Minimeters. It's just a spectrum analyzer, so we can see the sounds. You could just use an EQ8 as well, but this is a bit better. It's a bit bigger. So the reason I'm showing you with a sine wave, I'll just turn it up a bit. The reason I'm showing you with a sine wave is because a sine wave is like a very pure singular sound. It's very simple. If I had like a triangle wave or a sawtooth or a square, it's got all these additional harmonics, which we don't want, or we don't need to see right now, because the saturator is going to add these harmonics. So, to explain what saturation is, and also kind of what overdrive is and clipping is, because they're all kind of similar. Essentially, it's taking a sound, whatever sound, in this case a sine wave, and then we're pushing it into a threshold or a ceiling. And so I can just show you visually with my hands here. So you take this sound or a harmonic, and then the ceiling is here, and you push it into this ceiling, and depending on the algorithm is what will happen to the sound after it's hit that ceiling. So if it hits that ceiling and it's just like on a clipper, like an analog clip, you can see here, there's also a digital clip. It hits that ceiling and then it just kind of caps off the roof of the sound, or the initial transient of the sound. And if you push it a lot, it will eventually start to squash, and that sound will spread. But with the other settings, it will do that sooner, or it will do it a bit more aggressively. And so when that sound spreads like this, and it starts to squash and spread, as it does that, it adds more harmonics. And more harmonics just means more notes. So if this sine wave is playing a C, and then we add more harmonics, you see the volume's gone down here, but then it's spread the sound, and now we have additional notes. This is a, what is this, a G, and then we have a E here, which is actually a major triad, which is really interesting. So for some reason, I did look this up before, it's just some strange phenomenon with this saturator. Whenever you use it and you push it, it adds a major triad chord, with the second note usually inverted up. So what I mean by that is in a C major chord, it goes C, and then E, and then G. That's how you do a C major chord, like this. Oh, let's take this off. Okay, so these are like closer together, but what the saturator is doing is something a little bit like this. Or even higher up. It's a bit like that. That's what it's doing, but just with the saturator, as you can see, and it does sound different as well. They're a lot thinner, they're less like thick as a proper like note being played. But yeah, it's just a little interesting thing, which could be quite good and pleasing if you're playing in major. But if you're playing in minor, just bear that in mind, that if you're applying something to say like your pluck, and then you've got like a minor chord underneath, and then that minor chord is playing something like the minor chord notes, and then you play this pluck and you add saturation to it, and then it's adding additional major chord harmonics to the note. So yeah, a little bit complicated, but it could possibly sound a bit dissonant, so just bear that in mind. But anyway, let's just look at these different algorithms so you can kind of see what they're doing. So we'll just play like a singular note, or I'll just hold down a C, apply less drive. So we've got like 12 dB of drive, and with 12 dB of drive in analog clip, you can hear that it's not doing much, but if we change it, we're starting to get some harmonics. Even more here, that adds more volume. This one's very rich. And this is almost getting into like overdrive territory, which is, as I say, it's a very similar thing. So let's go into overdrive. So we take this, I'll take this off. Okay, so look, it's adding more harmonics. So it's also, again, pushing it. Automatically it adds this 50% drive. But if I take it off and then we'll slowly add it. So it's like the sound can't get any louder. You can't push it any further. It goes here and it reaches the ceiling, probably like here. And then it just spreads the sound. And in here you can see it's so harmonically rich. There's so many notes. Yeah, so that's also really cool. It can add such a nice tone to things. It can add like this really nice just richness and fullness to your sounds, but just bear in mind you are adding more notes. And so if you have a track that's very full and busy and then you add saturation or overdrive to something, it can like clog things up, or it can add dissonance. So be careful with how you use these tools, but they can be really great to use. Okay, so that is how saturation and overdrive works. It's adding and clipping also works. You're controlling the sound because you're pushing it, and then you're taking like the initial roof of the sound, so something that's sharp in it, and you're like capping it off. But then if you push it and you add a different algorithm, or you add overdrive or something like that, not only is it controlling or taming the sound, it's then spreading the sound throughout the frequency spectrum. Okay, so now let's have a look at this in a practical sense, so how I use it in like a track. So I've got this track here. This is the track that I've finished, and I'm using saturation and overdrive all over this track, and I'll show you how and why and things like that. So let's have a look at, well, I'll just play you a little bit of the track.
The second night, I wanted more, but then you slipped away. Told me not to worry, but you couldn't stay. I held my breath, you let it shatter. Try not to pressure, try to treat you better.
Okay, so maybe you can hear in the mix there that things are quite controlled. There's nothing like jumping out too much. It feels nice and full and warm and things like that. And so some of that is attributed to clipping and saturation. So let's have a look at the drums, as that's where I've used this clipper here. Okay, so the reason I'm using this clipper is because, and you're not going to hear any audible difference when I show this, but it's more for control. So if we just bring up the mixer. Okay, so the drums here, let me take this off. The drums, without the clipper on, are peaking at 3.82. So there's some parts of the drums, so maybe it's probably the snare, it's super loud, but the snare is going to be coming through, and then it just jumps the volume up in the group. And then now I can't like push this volume too much, or on my like limiter when I come to the mastering stage, this thing is just really pushing the volume up and not allowing me to get anything else up in the track, because the drum group is just jumping up in volume. So if you control those peaks with a clipper, and the reason I'm using a clipper, so the saturator just on clip mode, digital clip, rather than like a really heavy algorithm to add drive, is because I just want to control it. I don't want to add more additional harmonics. I just want to control the peaks. Okay, so you can see here, it's still dynamic. There's hats which are here, and then there's a snare, which is this one here. And then if I take this off, it's more. The snare is like jumping up way more. But what's important is with it on and off, there's no audible difference, but there is a data difference. Like the information and the volume, it is actually different. The peak is different. But audibly, we're not hearing any change in the drums, which is great. So we still get to keep the sound, but we get control. Right? No difference, but a difference in control. Okay, so that's how you can use a clipper to control your sounds. And you can either use like the Ableton Saturator and just put it onto clip mode, or you can use like external plugins. There's like K-Clip. This one, I think it's free. Also, it's great to use and very simple. You literally just link these together and then you can just push it. And you can see it's pushing down the snare as we bring up the volume of everything else, achieving like probably the similar results. Yeah, we're at 10 here, so I pushed it quite a lot. Okay, so great tool to use for control. It is aggressive, so it is taking those peaks and just like really like pushing them down. But if you're not hearing any audible problem or difference, then it's all good. Okay, so let's move to the... Ooh, how do I get rid of that? Yeah. Let's move to like a bass. This is where I'm using... Well, I'm also using a clipper here and a limiter, but that's not what I want to show. What I want to show is on this Reese. So let's listen to the bass group. I'm doing something kind of interesting there. I've got a big fat Reese, as you can hear, but then I'm layering this like Foley sound because I wanted this kind of like crunchy, glitchiness to the bass. But anyway, so here on this Reese, I'm using a decapitator, which is just like, think of it like overdrive, but it's an external plugin from Soundtoys. Most people know what this is, and it's great to use, and I'm using it in a very heavy way. I've got it on this punish setting, but I'm not adding any drive because there's already enough volume coming in, so I don't need to add more additional drive. It's already going into the ceiling, and then when it goes into that ceiling, the algorithm is on punish, so it's like very strongly distorting. And then I've put the mix down so it's not super strong. So with this off, sounds like this. There's still like a bit of distortion there. You can hear this like fuzzing, but with it on, it's like more gnarly. And then I've got the dry wet. If I bring it up, it's just too much. So I've got to be careful. Bring it down. So this can be a great tool for overdrive, adding more harmonics, adding more richness to a sound, adding this fuzz or crunch, and that's what I use these kind of plugins for. All right, so that pretty much sums up saturation, overdrive, and clipping. They're ways that you can use it in your project. Highly recommend that you do. You'll see I use it everywhere. I've got this Oxford inflator, which is a fancy type of saturator. There's many different ones out there. Have a look at some, check out some videos on them, see which ones you want, and try to use them in your production, because I can guarantee you that it will really help with your mixing and with just having different tones in your sounds that maybe other people don't have if they don't use these tools. Alright, so thank you for watching this one, guys. If it was helpful, let me know in the comments to help spread the video, and give a like. Also, if you want any help with your production, like coaching, I've been coaching for the last 4 or 5 years, helped over 100 or 200 people with their production, and so I'm sure I can help you in whatever stage you are at. So if you want that, just check out the Patreon down below or my website. Cool. Thank you, guys. Catch you in the next one.